This is dash cam video we obtained from the Lubbock Police Department, who responded to the aggravated assault around 7:30 this morning. This booming criminal enterprise is so organized they even have business cards. Here you can see an officer punching 20-year-old Jose Escarcega several times. I have an email pulled up here, and you can take a look at it from August 21st, where the PR consultant says, "I still want to stay as benign as possible, and on my end, I'm working to load up media with as much other news items per elections info and other items to keep them as busy as possible as we head into early voting." So it sounds like you're trying to bury the pay raises.
Yeah, and I understand. Reading those emails to look at them, yes, I can understand where it looks like it was trying to be buried.
Lubbock police tell us that things went downhill quickly, with shots being fired both inside and outside of this grocery store. In fact, you can see a bullet hole right here. A Littlefield man accused of injuring a police officer back in July will not have his bond reduced. The Texas Tech Red Raiders were in action today, playing against the UTEP Miners. They were trying to bounce back after a rough game against Sam Houston State. 80 feels good. I'm telling you.
It feels good.
I'm going to have to start getting out my jacket at 80 because I'm so used to these hot temperatures.
I know.
Now, you take one look at this structure and you know it needs a lot of work. In fact, city council members estimate about $50 million worth of renovations. Sharon, on Saturday, this ballpark will be filled with more than 4,500 Texas Tech baseball fans. And let me tell you, tickets sold out fast. Could you do that, or do you have a fear of heights or anything?
The balloon thing is cool, but the fact about being, what, hundreds of feet up in the sky? No.
You may remember back in September, Lubbock County Commissioners voted for pay raises for all county elected officials, including themselves.
But what you may not know is that county commissioners use your tax dollars to hire a public relations consultant for advice on the best way to tell you about those raises. Investigative reporter Shaley Sanders joins us now with the latest. Shaley?
Karen and Abner, county commissioners gave themselves a 38% raise. We requested copies of all documents and invoices regarding the Lubbock County Commissioner's pay raise and its public relations consultant. What we found were emails advising the pay raise issue be buried in other commissioner news when announced to the public. We began questioning the transparency of these pay raises, so we sat down with a county commissioner to discuss the advice your tax dollars bought.
Roughly $20,000 is the most we've spent in 1 year. With this one company.
Lubbock County Commissioner Patty Jones says commissioners hired a PR company nearly a decade ago to help with elections. According to this commissioner's court agenda from July 28th of last year, commissioners were to consider exempting a contract with the PR company from competitive bidding requirements as a professional service. At that point, had the commissioners read the contract?
We worked off of a PO, and a PO can be a binding contract just like a regular contract.
We requested a copy of the contract you had with this PR consultant, and I guess because you guys were working off of POs, we were not provided with one. Did that have anything to do with the decision not to use this consultant moving forward?
Yes, I would say that it did bring it to our attention to kind of look at our practice.
We requested copies of invoices and emails from the county to the PR company and learned that last year the consultant started receiving payment from commissioners for political advice on the best approach to communicate commissioners' pay raises with the public. I have an email pulled up here, and you can take a look at it from August 21st, where the PR consultant says, "I still want to stay as benign as possible, and on my end, I'm working to load up media with as much other news items per elections info and other items to keep them as busy as possible as we head into early voting." So it sounds like you're trying to bury the pay raises.
Yeah, and I understand. Reading those emails to look at them, yes, I can understand where it looks like it was trying to be buried. Now, those were the PR's words about let's be benign.
Bury it, pull a fast one, or as the PR consultant refers to it in an email to commissioners, dodging the media bullet.
Somebody from the outside looking in looked like we were trying to pull a fast one on Lubbock County, and we weren't.
In that same email chain, Jones writes to the PR consultant, quote, "We've discussed that if the media is present, Greg, a county employee, will make a presentation. If they are not, we will take swift action on the item and move on to the next agenda item." Do you think that that's fair to the taxpayers who were present that day?
Well, the thing about that is that when I wrote in there, that morning, Greg George had called me to find out what to do for a commissioner's court that day. So when I reference in there that was in a conversation that I had with Greg George that he and I talked about it, and that if the media was there, we'd make the presentation. If not, then he wouldn't need to be there to make the presentation. We'd just go ahead and go through the agenda just like we normally would.
Do you think if more people had been in attendance, the presentation might have been given?
Yes, I do.
For the people and the taxpayers, our viewers who are watching this, and wonder if this is a proper use of their money, their tax dollars, what would you say to those viewers?
Okay, we spent $2,400 on that particular item as far as having the PR consultant to help with that. We felt like that let's give this a try this time to see about getting the word out and the reasonings why, so that maybe we could get a little different, I guess, if you want, for lack of words, a different spin on it. So as far as that, we are effectively giving raises to all the elected officials in Lubbock County, not just ourselves. Did it work? No. We're still getting, we gave ourselves raises.
We are told 28 county employees received a pay raise. County Judge Tom Head's salary jumped about $32,000 to almost $110,000. County commissioners' salaries jumped more than $22,000, putting them at almost $80,000. Jones says this is the fourth pay raise in 12 years. She says as of the beginning of this year, the PR company is not being paid by Lubbock County. Now, we want to know, do you think Lubbock County officials tried to bury the announcement of recent pay raises? We have set up a poll on our website at kcbd.com. Karen and Abner.
Thank you, Shaley. Tonight, a prosecutor is taking the unusual step of appealing a judge's sentence in a drunk driving accident where a 10-year-old boy lost his leg.
The drunk driver was only sentenced to probation. 48-year-old Sammy Carl Williams was convicted last month on 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count of intoxicated assault, and 2 counts of failure to stop and render aid. Last week, we told you the jury wanted to give Williams a 10-year prison sentence, but that didn't happen.
This case is out of Lynn County, and investigative reporter Shaley Sanders joins us now with more in this KCBD Sandstorm Scholar report. Shaley?
That's right, Karen and Abner. We are investigating how a 5-time convicted felon got away with probation when the jury wanted to sentence him to a decade in prison. We obtained this transcript with details of exactly what happened in the courtroom.
He didn't understand how somebody could do something like that.
10-year-old Nicholas Mata Jr. is adjusting to life without his left leg.
He tells children when they stare that they don't have to stare at it, and they can ask him questions, but not to stare, please, because it hurts his feelings.
There you go.
Junior's mother is also learning to cope with the changes.
You did such a great job.
Mark Snodgrass, defense attorney representing Sammy Carl Williams.
And his blood alcohol level was 0.22.
That's nearly 3 times the legal limit. In June of 2013, Williams hit a vehicle that had pulled over and was legally parked on the side of the road. Williams was driving from a Lubbock bar to his Tahoka home when he veered off the road and crashed into the Mata's Tahoe. The impact left 10-year-old Nicholas Mata Jr. in the middle of the road with his leg barely intact. Williams never stopped. In August, a Lynn County jury found Williams guilty of driving while intoxicated and leaving the scene of that accident. All 12 jurors agreed they wanted to send Williams to prison for 10 years, but they filled out the verdict form incorrectly. This court transcript reveals what the judge did and didn't do when she realized the jury had made a major mistake. What follows is a reenactment of the official transcription of the court proceedings.
The jury has recommended, in this case, that you be placed on community supervision.
Just through their facial expressions and their mannerisms, I could tell something was wrong.
I don't believe that this is the unanimous verdict of the jury, Your Honor.
It was answered that it was.
Your Honor, I think the juror's verdict's been received.
It has been, and it has been read.
The foreman of the jury is telling me that they didn't do that right. They wanted him to get 10 years and then probation.
There's not such a thing as that. I don't know what to do at this point, to be truthful.
My argument to the judge was, hey, Judge, you're about to impose a sentence that is not that of the jury's. And this is a manifest injustice, and I asked for a mistrial and a new trial on punishment, and that too was denied.
Your Honor, the verdict's been received.
I have received a verdict. I have read it. Not only read it, but I have sentenced the defendant according to the verdict. Now, all I have left to do is place the conditions on the community supervision.
And, Your Honor, since you've dismissed the jurors...
But in fact, the record shows the jury had not been dismissed and were available for another 18 minutes.
I would also ask for a motion for a new trial citing, again, manifest injustice. This is not the intent.
This isn't the point to make.
It's very plain. There is no question about the way these are filled out. Quite honestly, there should not be any communication coming from them right now. This has been very loose about what has been allowed to be communicated. There should not have been a communication to the sheriff at this point.
Judge, can I get a ruling on my motion for a new trial and mistrial?
Yes, denied.
In the end, despite their true wishes for a 10-year prison sentence, the jury watched Williams receive probation.
Have you ever seen something like this happen before?
I have never seen it happen.
And neither has Snodgrass.
With slight modifications just to fit the facts of the case we were dealing with, they're the same verdict forms that have been used all over the state for as long as I've been practicing law and before then.
But the confusion did leave his client, who was found guilty on all 5 felony counts, to receive minimal punishment.
Were you surprised that Mr. Williams walked away with probation?
Yeah, I was mildly surprised.
This 10-year-old boy will live with the consequences of Williams' actions for the rest of his life. And that's how long Junior's mother is willing to fight for justice.
I want to fight it tooth and nail until this man is behind prison bars. I don't want it to be over until we get justice.
We have tracked the uncertainty that took place in the courtroom and have learned it began long before the verdict was delivered. These are copies of notes passed back and forth from the jury deliberation room to the judge. The judge is legally restricted on what she can say to the jurors and therefore could not answer their questions. However, these court documents reveal the judge did have an idea the jury misunderstood the verdict form and was going to get it wrong prior to her reading the verdict. We have made these documents available to you on our website at kcb.com. We will continue to investigate and bring you the very latest. Karen and Abner.
Thank you, Shaley.